CQCQCQ, and welcome back to the 599 Signal Report. In the shack with me today, I have KI7QCF. Forrest, you're 599 in New York. How am I sounding?
I got you 599. I got you 20 dBs over here in Utah, buddy.
Thank you for Uniform Tango, and thank you for being on the podcast, Forrest. This is going to be an honor and a privilege, and I am so looking forward to it.
Likewise, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So, Forrest, can you start out by telling us about your amateur radio journey and then going to your CW journey?
Yeah, so it's fall 2017. I kind of got into prepping, survival type, interests. And honestly, I've always been a guy of multiple hobbies. So I just remember at the time as I kind of got into that subject, I thought, you know what, I should get an amateur radio license. I kid you not, in about a week's time, I actually, each day after work, I took practice tests over and over and over again. And yeah, about a week later, I passed. I actually failed it the first time, my technician exam. I missed it by one question. And then I took it right again and I passed. And yeah, I think a week or two later, I got issued KI7QCF. Of course, this was very, very casual. I regret to say that for about 6 to 7 years, I did absolutely nothing in the hobby. I think I bought a handheld, and then uh, I think December 2023, I came across a YouTube video. It was actually my uncle. He was doing Morse code, and I was just awestruck. It blew my mind that he was hearing these beeps and understanding them. And yeah, the next day I bought a straight key and a practice oscillator. About 90 days later, I got on the air with Morse code, made my first contact. Actually, it'll be 2 years ago. This Thursday is my anniversary of my first QSO.
What? Only 2 years and you've gone so far in the hobby. That is absolutely amazing. So, Forrest, if the Morse code requirement was there when you took your test, do you think you would have done it?
No, sir. I don't think so. I genuinely, it was too casual. I just wanted to see if I could get my call sign. Had there been an additional requirement, even 5 words per minute, I think I would have flaked out. So while I'm a CW advocate, I think it's a great decision that they removed it from the testing requirements. Let people come into that organically if they so choose, but I don't think I would have.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. So you got your practice oscillator, and then you probably started at a CW course. Can you talk about what course you started in?
Sure. So I actually didn't take a course right away. I mostly use lcwo.net, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but
Oh, yeah.
that's a great website. As far as head copy goes, that gave me the ability to start memorizing the characters. I also had a little oscillator where I would practice sending, and boy, did that kick my butt. I had a straight key at first, then I ditched it right away and got a paddle, and the paddle just blew my mind. I couldn't believe it was automated kind of, right? It does the DAWs and DITs for you, perfect spacing. So I did that, and I kind of just really the first 60 days I was pretty stagnant. I started to memorize some stuff, but I didn't really feel like I was getting anywhere. That went on, and then a random YouTube video from a Canadian op, I forget his call sign. He talked about a POTUS script, and I thought, a script? So you're telling me I don't even necessarily need to know how to copy or even know how to send that well? I can kind of just like read a script, like, and maybe just send the code per the script. I could do that. And so that's what happened without knowing really how to copy or really knowing much about amateur radio as a whole. I was so green. I was so raw. I used the script and I think I heard a BK. Okay, it's my turn. And I sent, the exchange. But boy, that moment of making my first QSO, after putting in 90 days of pretty much daily study, it was a hack. It was a cheat code. It unlocked something in my brain where I finally had the fulfillment of all the work that I'd put in. It felt like it was worth something. And I tell you what, my my progress over the next 30 days after that was 100-fold because I was having fun with CW. I wasn't just screwing around with sides or I hate to say it, but I worry sometimes about new ops that they're spending too much time on V-band or they're spending too much time, on practice oscillators, and they'll really find fun and learning when they take that risk of getting on the air, even though it's a little scary.
Getting on the air. I think we've said it on the podcast many times. Get on the air as soon as you can. As soon as you can, as soon as you know your call sign and you can understand BK when it's your turn, get on the air. Get on
Exactly.
the air. Absolutely. So you've also talked about CW Innovations as being that one thing that just everything snapped after that. Can you talk a little bit about that? And what was that snap like?
Yeah. Yeah, great segue. So I did after I got on the air, I actually initially took a CW Academy class, which by the way, I recommend whether it's LICW, CW Academy, CW Innovations, any anytime you're investing time into your craft, you're going to come out ahead. And so I don't care what program it is, what course, they're all a little bit different. But if you invest that time, you're going to get out what you put in. And the better part, you're actually going to find community. And I still have tangible friendships. I've got their phone numbers. I text guys from each of the classes that I've taken, and I consider them, I've actually met up with some of them in person, even though they live in other states. And that's really what I recommend doing is get into those classes. But yeah, I say CW Innovations for me, you got to realize for me, I was very active as an operator, activating almost daily with POTA. But CW Innovations came around. For me, I kind of saw it as okay, do I want to become conversational with CW? Do I want to be able to understand? Because people would send me random things or they'd send me something in a POTA exchange outside of the script where I'm kind of like, oh, I don't really know what he said. And you can see that in my videos sometimes, dating back a while. But CW Innovations had this huge emphasis on conversational CW and, frankly, high speed head copy, which really intrigued me. When you love something, you're passionate about it, you genuinely try to improve. I don't care if it's golf or basketball or, whatever it is. And CW Innovations for me kind of taught me to invest time in high speed head copy practice. It's okay to miss code. It's okay to not copy 100%. I was under the impression the best operators never miss anything. That's not true. Everyone misses. Everyone screws up a copy. And I just started getting on the air with daily Ragchews. N6 Run, Sarab was my code buddy. So we would actually do Ragchews. That was kind of my first go at it. And we'd call each other on the phone after. I'd be like, dude, what did you say at that point? And that made it safe. And I love that Code Buddy program. I think they're doing a great job. They just kind of redesigned their curriculum with some online format for new students to allow more students into the class. But yeah, I really recommend CW Innovations or any of the CW courses out there. I think are great.
Absolutely, absolutely, definitely, highly recommend that. And you said it, community. You built the community, and you built those code buddies, and it's a lifetime. Little hints for the podcast viewers. I just enrolled in the new CW Innovations program, so Glenn and Terry are mentoring us, and we're looking forward to the new format. So definitely looking forward to being a part of the CW Innovation myself.
Let's go. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, sounds good. So you talked about it, and you are a YouTube all-star. You know that. So you gotta tell us what got you to turn that camera on and start recording and say, I'm gonna post this to YouTube.
I would have never discovered this hobby if it weren't for CW YouTubers. The funny thing was my uncle posted that video. He actually didn't post again, so I was left with a large appetite for this new hobby that I had discovered. So K4SWL baby, Thomas, his videos, right? I still when I get the notification, I still get excited. W4ARB, Evan K2. I can't name all of them, right? There's so many great ones, but they they captivated me. The aspect of field operations, throwing a wire in a tree. So as I got into the hobby with CW, I I wanted to share it and kind of pay it forward a little bit. I could have never imagined. I didn't have any expectation of growing the channel the way it did grow, but it's been a lot of fun because as a result, just like those Elmers in a way brought me into the hobby. I've been very excited and humbled that there's a number of particularly younger hams getting into CW, and I've met up with some of them here locally. Uh, they're activating POTA. I think it's great.
Absolutely. You definitely sparked that younger generation and that I call it the next generation of hams to get into the hobby. And I give you definitely give you a lot of credit and commend you for doing that and definitely, give you the kudos.
Yeah, I appreciate it. At the end of the day, that's probably the thing that makes me most excited is I see a comment where they say, "Hey, I just passed my technician exam." And I hope throughout the rest of my life, well, whether it's with a local club or whether it's the YouTube or maybe it's just running into a stranger at a park, that people get interested. And that's kind of a selfish thing. When you love something so much, you want others to partake. Hey, taste this. Taste how good it is. That's been something really rewarding for me.
Absolutely. So let's talk about more about community. I'm gonna reach over here and grab this my Quan Shang that's modded with a CW mod on it. And we're going to talk about the Brass Knuckle Gang. How'd you start that? What got you to even think about using 2 meters for CW?
Oh boy. So I've got to shout out the Southern California, or kind of the California as a whole group. You look at like KD7DTS, right? Mark. You look at N6ARA. You look at K6ARK. I'm probably leaving a few out. KD7 Doug. Those guys in California, they have a really good soda community. And when they go on top of summits there, now granted, it's a much more densely populated. I think the city of LA is what is it like 10x the size of Utah or something. It's one of the biggest cities out there, but those guys go on top of summits and they just round it up on the Quanshangs, baby. Or what, maybe they have an Elecraft KX3 with the 2 meter module. And that something about 2 meters to me, we're incredibly lucky. We're blessed to have band allocations, right? This is something pretty scientific. There are frequencies and they're used very broadly, vastly throughout the globe within various disciplines, commercial, maritime, air band. I could leave a ton of stuff out, but it's a cool thing that as amateurs, we're given the privileges to operate these bands. Now, HF is pretty freaking cool, right? It's it's as cool as it gets. I worked Mongolia the other day. First time I worked Mongolia on 20 meters. But, think about 2 meters. How, when you scroll down 2 meters, maybe your 2 meter radio, you have some local repeaters programmed in. How often do you hear CW there? And we have a ton of space on 2 meters for CW. And so something about a $20 radio with a quick little hack and me getting convinced if I could just get a couple of my buddies into this, if I could convince a few people, and I did, I posted on our local classifieds, I said 3 free Quanshangs. I was giving away 3 free Quanshangs. I only had one taker, but man, was I excited when somebody texted me and said, hey, I want one of those. And you better believe he's got a BKG number now. But yesterday I'm on top of West Mountain. It's a 7,000 foot summit. 20 minutes from me and a 2 mile hike. And I worked my buddy 20 miles away with my Quanshang on a rough band condition day. So I actually really struggled to get out. And I worked my buddy on 2 meters and I'm like, thank goodness I have 2 meters. So the videos are a little silly. I get a little dressed up. I throw some of my favorite rap music from when I was in high school and I act like I started the gang. I just think it's funny. I like to be myself in my videos and thankfully a couple people also think it's funny. Most people, I think they kind of they're like, "What is this guy doing?"
Absolutely. And it is fun. Please keep being you because I think that's what the audience just loves and enjoys. So please just keep being you. So you had a rapid climb. You went from not knowing what CW was in 2024 to now you're also working on QRQ, which is high speed operating. Wow. How did you go from, barely even know what a dit and da was to now you're 35, 40 words a minute?
Yeah, and I'm far from perfect. I get my butt kicked in a Ragchew if I'm 40 words a minute, but I've kind of learned that that's okay, and that's how I get better. It's a little bit of a cliche of get outside your comfort zone, but I started to find once I got into POTA, the additional steps from there were okay. Well, maybe I want to look into other forms of CW, like chasing DX or contesting. Well, contesting and chasing DX, those are pretty freaking fast. Now, I'd say 95% of those guys, they are using keyboards, which is absolutely okay. We're not anti-keyboard. That's a misconception in QRQ Crew. We just require for entry to demonstrate manual scent code with a paddle. But as I got into contesting, chasing DX, I started to find, I wanted to be able to copy call signs at faster speeds. I wanted to be able to send exchanges. So I remember actually filming a video in my shack of chasing CWT. So CW ops, the CWT every Wednesday, different times. And I was chasing them 35, 40 words a minute with my key manually. And Jim WB0RLJ reached out and was like, hey, would you want to be nominated for CW Ops? I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I would love to. And rest is history, I got my number. And then from there, I just started being very active with higher speed CW, whether it be contest or DXing. And then as a result of CWI, well, can I copy at those higher speeds? So one thing led to another with my platform. I felt like, hey, what if I started a QRQ club like I've done with BKG? And I couldn't believe it. Within 24 hours, we had more members than BKG. Granted, uh, BKG is a little bit limited geographically, but QRQ Crew, I think we're in 9 countries now. I think we're at 140 members, and it's really fun. We're actually going to formalize some events. We're doing some like a QRQ day for POTA, so like the last Friday of every month. We invite people if they want to get a little faster than maybe they're used to in POTA. And if you don't want to, just call QRS. If I'm going 30 on a Friday in the month, I'm more than happy to slow down. But yeah, it's been an incredible response to QRQ Crew, and the goal is we want guys to come into the club that feel like they're not quite there yet, or they're not super comfortable with QRQ. They feel like they make a lot of mistakes. That's what our club's about. We are not looking for perfection. Some of the European clubs, I would love to be a part of them. Very strict parameters, extremely high bars you need to clear. They'll ask for XYZ speed, perfect conversational CW for 30 minutes. We're the opposite of that. We're like, hey, if you can struggle through a 35 word per minute POTA exchange, or you just want to work me 599, you're in the club, get a number. And now let's work together. Let's practice together and get on the air. And my bet is if you do that and you can be a little fearless, 6 months from now, you'll be quite impressed with your progress from a QRQ standpoint.
Absolutely, indeed, that is what a journey and what a crew. So definitely looking forward to. I'll give it a try one of these days, just to throw it out there. My buddy eight AC4NK Ryan. I usually get him on
Yeah.
Dota, so because we're close enough. So I'll definitely try to hit Ryan. All right. So you love bugs. Even I have your QSL card here somewhere, and there's a little bug on it. What is it about the semi-automatic key that that draws you in?
Yeah, great question. I'm very pleased you were asking me about bugs because I do love talking about them. I Originally, I told you I started with that straight key, right? And I ditched it pretty fast. So I got into paddles, and paddles were like my only interest because I just thought they were easier, they're faster. I believe maybe it was 5 or 6 months into the journey. Adam, AI4UH, was a viewer of my channel, and he just kind of threw it out there. You should check out bugs. And up to that point, I didn't really know much about them. I couldn't really tell you too much about cooties or bugs. I knew what a straight key and paddles were, but I started to look into it. I will say this, as an on-air operator, I knew when there was a code that sounded a little bit funky or a little bit. And this is a controversial subject within our hobby. And I find it's almost like a 50-50 split of people that absolutely cannot stand bugs and they criticize them. And I've even had people comment on videos they refuse to work on, which I won't get into my opinion on that. And then other people, there's a natural inclination, or maybe they don't use a bug, but they like the way they sound or they think they're interesting. And I can genuinely say from the get-go, when I heard a little bit of an extended DAW, like in a Roger, even as a brand new CW op, where I couldn't have even told you why it sounded that way or what mechanism could have possibly have created that or the op, I always just thought it was funny. In fact, I remember laughing to myself a little bit of like, I like it when that guy does that. I like that da it. And, come to find out, my buddy told me about bugs and I started to research them. There's actually a couple ops on YouTube, F8DGY in France, and then my buddy DJ in Brunei, Brunei, V85NPV. These guys have these YouTube channels, and man, they have some character with their bug. And I was quite captivated by a little bit of a swing. And again, I know a lot of people, a lot of ops disagree with me, and they think code should always be a perfect 3-to-1 ratio on DAWs and DITs. And I agree. I actually strive when using a bug to, I would rather not know I'm on a bug other than when I send you a proper Roger, but I really like some of the most proficient CW ops I know. they could almost transition from a bug to a Navy flameproof to a iambic paddle. And gosh, I'm hard pressed to tell the difference. It never criticized the mechanism. All you criticize the operator, that's okay. Actually, I don't think it's okay. But if you're going to complain about a bug, the bug's perfectly capable of sending perfect code. The operator may have some intense swing or may have opportunity for improvement. I know I do. But yeah, sorry, I can talk your ear off with this. But yeah, I got really into bugs as a result of my buddy Adam, and then I saw certain operators using them, and I just thought, this makes the code a little bit more fun. When I'm in my shack and I'm hunting POTA, to do it on the bug, I don't know. I feel like I would get a little bored if all I ever used was a paddle. I love a good Ragchew with my buddy WN7JT up in Washington, where we've done it over 2 hours on the bugs, and there's just something about it when you're bug to bug with another operator. You have a little bit of character, and you kind of know it's them. You hear their code and you know, yeah, that's my buddy. So, and gosh, sorry, Ron, you shouldn't have asked about bugs. This is gonna go 2 hours. I use a 1942 champion. I have various bugs, but I use a World War II era champion. Vibroplex bugs and historical, you know, relevance, meaning, some of the history of it. I hope everyone has a Vibroplex bug in their collection, and it's so cool to think about who used this bug during World War II. Who used this bug as part of their what they used to potentially make a living and put food on the family for food on the table for their family. I just think bugs are quite magical, and I love them.
Well, you think about that, they were doing this for a living, we're doing it for fun, and we just
Yeah.
eat as our outlet, but they're doing it to yeah, we'll put food on the table, so it is absolutely amazing, and bugs are great. I wish I could I'm gonna get there, I'm getting close, but, I even have a bug that I bought at a Hamfest, a 52 speed axe that I gotta get restored.
Wow.
So, I will get that, up on and get it on the air soon enough.
Love them.
So you've talked about community building, and you through your discords, through your YouTubes, through the QRQ, through the CWO, through Brass Knuckles, you've built this community all around CW. Can you just talk about how honored you are, how blessed you are? What feelings do you get from it?
Yeah, I'm incredibly honored, and I hope anyone, one of the things that's become a challenge for me, and I say this as humbly as possible, is my channel has reached tens of thousands of comments, and I've found recently I'm quite bad at getting to all of them. Some of my videos, I have videos that I'll look at my analytics and they hit 3 or 4 million views in the last 48 hours from 10 months ago. So people don't necessarily see that because it's kind of retroactive, but I'm getting comments there, and I've gotten quite bad at engaging with everyone. And some people have very genuine questions or genuine interest, and I almost need to just, employ my wife to maybe help out with some of that. But I did decide, as a result of many comments, to create a membership on my channel, where I created a Discord. I did make it a requirement you have to have a call sign. I wanted people that are in the hobby or in the community already with a call sign. And CWO has just been incredible. That's the continuous wave order. We kind of did a joke with the logo. It's pink socks, but some really incredible operators in there. So my first ever QSO Tim K50HY is in there. I'm sure you know a few other YouTubers like Zeus, K8CES in Ohio, Ryan AC4NK in Tennessee, and these guys, a lot of them, most of the guys in my Discord are brand new to the hobby. They're even newer than me. Like, Ryan's amazing. Ryan got into CW not even a year ago, and listen to him activate. He's going like 35, dude. I I didn't touch that for like a year, and so it's been a lot of fun as far as the community build goes. With the Discord. I hope people know it too. I do have my email on my QRZ page. Forgive me. I do my best. I'm sure a few have slipped through the cracks, but when I get emails there, I always try to engage with people, respond. Many people have my phone number. If I can be a resource or help in any way, I absolutely want to do. That's the point of my YouTube. But the community, genuinely, I say this, I consider some of my best friends today guys that I actually met in this hobby. And I text and I call them, and I get their ham alerts and I work them as often as I can. Jim, WB0, RLJ, we just hit 500 QSOs together. So yeah, I love it. I think it's a unique way to connect with the world. You'll make friends in places. I've learned more geography in the last 12 months than the 35 years prior. So
That is absolutely amazing. Wow, great community. So let's talk about what projects you have on the bench. What's on the Forest workbench now? Antennas, keys, radios. What are you working on?
yeah, good question. So I got really into building as part of the hobby, and I'm so grateful I did. It was very intimidating at first. I remember first building an end-fed half wave, and then I started. I think I've built 7 radios now. Right now on the bench, I've actually, fun fact, ham radio duo, the Pebble HF. I just completed that build a couple days ago, and funner fact, I fried the first one they sent me. So I first of all, I paid for both of them, but the first one I bought and it clearly states, the voltage limits, 7 to 12 volts. As it turns out, that applies to the DC barrel connector, and I went ahead and plugged 12 volts into the USB port, which clearly states in the manual, do not do that. It's 5 volts only. So had a great build and then fried it immediately, and I went back and bought another one. I did build that one successfully, and I have not fried it yet, but I'll be posting a video here of that soon. But I've actually got a couple other kits that I want to throw together. So a while ago, I got my buddy Jonathan, KM4CFT, his KX2 paddle. He has a KX2 paddle for the Elecraft. If you watched K4SWL's video yesterday, he just posted a video of the KX1 paddle that KM4CFT does. So I'm excited to throw that together. That'll take me 15, 20 minutes. And then I've got a couple QRP guys kits that I bought a while ago. One of them is a manual tuner, which I think manual tuners are so cool. I want to use them more often because it's just cool to manually tune your antenna. And I've got another antenna from them, an end-fed biscuit for my buddy N0APX. I've already built 2, but I got a red one from him. That's pretty cool. Andy, N0APX. I've got a lot. I love building. I like having little kits and then doing homebrew field operations.
You're an engineer, right? You were using solders all your life. Is that why you love building?
No, no. So really funny. I worked at Radio Shack in high school, and they actually almost didn't hire me because they asked me what a resistor was, and I had no clue. And I still didn't know after I completed my tenure at Radio Shack. But I remember selling all the electrical components, the soldering irons. I did not pick up a soldering iron until after I got into CW, and I'm so grateful I did. It's one of the funnest things you can do in this hobby.
Forrest, well, it is that time of the podcast where we go into the rapid fire questions. We are going to go ahead and you can answer these quickly, 1 or 2 word answers only. So here we go. Rapid fire. Current sending speed, word per minute.
28 words per minute.
Ready? Oh, bug or straight key.
Bug.
Favorite proto rig.
Elecraft KX2.
There we go. Here's the hard one. Favorite key overall.
Big Ollie's 70th anniversary.
Best CW practice tool.
On-air operation.
Favorite CW club.
Brass Knuckle Gang.
Here's the big one. QRP or QRO.
You're not going to make me answer that with one word, are you?
Yeah, you get a couple words for that one.
I want like 30 because this is a passionate topic for me. Both.
Because yes, I have seen you turn that amp on and I have seen you run QRP. So favorite CW, 2 meters or HF?
2 meters.
Right. Now, this one you can give a little more than 2 words. What's your most memorable Q cell?
Wow. This one's easy. I'm atop a sand dune mountain, a couple hours removed from any civilization, middle of the desert, Utah. I make 9 QSOs from a vertical antenna and I say, I'm going to go hike up that sand mountain, which was much harder than I thought it would be. Turns out sand sinks and it's hard to walk in, especially up a vertical climb with my KH1 and the 4-foot whip. And about 10 minutes in, I think, and I'm filming this, I think this is a huge mistake. I'm not going to work anyone out here. It's kind of bad conditions. And JG0AWE comes to me in Nagano, Japan, and I just couldn't believe it. And it was my 10th QSO, and I got the park activated, standing in the middle of the desert on top of these dunes. I would later go on, about 12, 14 months later, to meet up with him in Nagano and hike summits with him, having only met him through CW. But that QSO, QRP, 4-foot whip, Alucraft KH1 DX to get the park activated, nothing will ever beat that.
Absolutely sounds like it. Wow, what a story. All right, Forrest. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the podcast. But before we do, what advice do you have for both aspiring CW ops as well as ops who are just getting started? What would you tell them?
For aspiring ops, get on the air before you feel ready. I fear cliches. I think people hear cliches and they go in one ear and out the other. And we always say get on the air, but I try to communicate this as someone that was once terrified of getting on the air. Get on the air before you feel ready. Memorize the characters. Download the POTA script, which is widely available. You can Google it. You can find it in some of my videos. And get on the air before you feel ready. I promise you, no one is as concerned as you are. Nobody will judge you. Nobody will think, oh, this guy's not a good op. We all start somewhere. And if you get on the air, my promise to you is your proficiency will skyrocket because you'll feel the reward of the time you've invested into the hobby paying off from the gratification of that first QSO. And from there, watch out. Watch yourself. You're going to surprise yourself how far you go. To the second part of your question, newer operators, stay consistent with on-air activity and find where you love the hobby. It could be SKCC, it could be POTA. I never thought I'd fall in love with soda. I think soda might be my favorite part of the hobby. It took me a while to find that, but now watch out for me in 2026. I'm gonna be going a little crazy with soda. Uh, yeah.
Well, Forrest, it's that time of the podcast. We're going to wrap up. I want to thank you again for being on the podcast and wish you best 73s. And thank you again.
Ron, very fine business 73. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for what you're doing, spreading our wonderful hobby. And I hope to see you again here very soon on the air. So 73 and dit.
Wow, what a great Ragchew I had with Forrest today. I want to thank Forrest KI7QCF for coming on the podcast. Please be sure to check out his YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and join his community. Also, if you find value in this podcast, buy me a cup of coffee. Link is in the description below. This is a labor of love, but unfortunately, it is not free to do. Well, until next time, 73s.